Hi, I'm Crystal Gilbert, and welcome to an introduction to the Aroma Freedom Technique created by Dr. Benjamin Perkus, licensed psychologist. So, I am Crystal Gilbert, and one of the things I do and love is that I'm a certified Aroma Freedom Technique practitioner. So, it was created by Dr. Benjamin Perkus not too long ago. He's been a clinical psychologist in practice since 1995 and an essential oil user and teacher since 2001. He's been trained in multiple traditional and alternative approaches, which is what helped him to formulate this amazing technique. He's an internationally recognized teacher and trainer going all over the world to teach the Aroma Freedom Technique. He's the author of the book, The Aroma Freedom Technique, Using Essential Oils to Transform Your Emotions and Realize Your Heart's Desire. So he created the book based on a need and wanting to get this technique into the hands of everyone. And it became so popular, and he realized the power of this that he developed the Aroma Freedom Academy, which is an online hub where people can go to get certified as a practitioner. And also, there's so many different workshops and classes there built on different topics like aroma freedom for cravings or for veterans and all sorts of wonderful things there. So I do encourage you to go check it out. I'll send you information on the link in a little bit. So my story very quickly with Aroma Freedom is that I got into essential oils in March of 2017, and it was so powerful, so effective that I just had to start learning all of these things that I didn't know, right? And I just started gleaning every bit of information that came my way. Anything that popped up, I wanted to learn about it because the stuff was starting to work when I'd lived my whole life up until that point with nothing working, only getting worse in every sense of the word, holistically just going downward. And I was very young at that time. I was just 29 when I got into the essential oils. So it was very young to feel the way that I felt. And I participated in a free group AFT session the summer of 2017. And it was so powerful, so effective that I was just blown away. I was very skeptical at first, and I was actually going to cancel, but it kept coming up, and I just felt that nudge, that inner nudge that was like, no, you need to do this. And so I did it, and I had to use the scientific method on it and go, okay, I need to experience this first before I form an opinion. And it was amazing. So I had to learn more about this. So there was another free one by the same practitioner in December of 2017, and that was around the holidays. And I had just gotten no contact with narcissist family members. So it was a very brutal time for me and very hard. I was dreading everything about it. And that session was so powerful for me. And to feel relief that I'd just been living with every day and it was only getting worse, nothing else I did helped. I had to learn more about it. So I wound up getting certified in July of 2018 just in order to help myself. I had no thoughts beyond myself at that point because I was struggling to get through each day. But within just a few weeks, I found such a burden in my heart to share it with others because I had finally found the answer to all of my prayers and all of the things that was going to help me just start becoming more myself and to heal and to be able to do this without forking out so much money, for decades just to heal. And all the years of counseling, prescription medications, and self-medicating just did not work. But one session of the Aroma Freedom Technique did more for me than all the years of the traditional methods. That was powerful. So I wanted to share that with as many people as possible. So just so you know the possibilities here, and I'm sure you can think of either yourself statistically, pretty much everyone has gone through something here. If not you, there's someone close to you that can benefit from knowing the possibilities here. So it helped me on my recovery from narcissist abuse, sexual abuse, agoraphobia, panic attacks, depression, suicidal thoughts, and anxiety. And I want to highlight agoraphobia right there, because I could not have done this. I could not have even shown my face, let alone spoken. I would have a panic attack by just being on the phone with someone. So if that doesn't go to show you how powerful this was. Now, I was doing a lot of inner work before then, but this helped to really pull it out by the root. And I just don't have that problem anymore. It's amazing. So this is Aroma Freedom Technique is something I live. It's part of my lifestyle. And I am wholeheartedly an advocate for it because of this, a total transformation. It helped to effectively clear out the negative voices, which, being a victim of narcissist abuse and extreme gaslighting, all I had was death spoken over me. I very rarely had any life or encouragement or support that was authentic. All I had was negative. So all I heard was the stuff I couldn't do. And so even though I had long cut those people out of my life, their words were still there. And that was something I just did not know how to get rid of. And this did remove that for me effectively. So I have my head back. I have my own thoughts now. Theirs are gone, and it's amazing. But you'll learn more about the negative voices in just a little bit. So for me, it was a total transformation into my true self. I was able to go from being this like hiding girl, this very broken girl, just very much retreated into myself for protection, to being able to be authentic and put myself out there and let myself shine for once in my life. And now I'm able to fulfill my life's purpose, which is helping others on their healing journey. So that alone is so powerful. I can't even begin to describe to you adequately what it feels like to go from such an extreme place, I would say, of darkness and very little hope, very little possibilities, on a downward spiral, to not only healing, but coming up and going back and being able to help others in the ways that, I was trying so hard to get help, and that it just wasn't there other than these techniques. So let's dive into 3 facts about human nature so you can better understand why this works so well. First, we are designed to explore and grow. Look at that little kid right there. Babies are notorious for getting into things, but that's actually a good thing. That's how they are designed. That's our natural thing when we are in our infantile, most innocent form, is to explore and grow. And there's a whole world out there. Just look at travel, how much that excites people. So much money is spent on traveling the world and having these adventures. And then, through science, through education, all the exploration there. Now, we are also designed to learn from those experiences and avoid pain by creating inner rules. So just like with a child that's trying so hard to explore and grow and may touch a hot stove and get burnt, they're going to learn really quickly an inner rule of don't stop, that hurts. And the same thing happens in relationships. If there's a bad relationship, don't stop, it hurts. So protect yourself, pull back. Now, if you are brought up in an abusive household, your whole trajectory, when you're supposed to learn about safety in a positive way, you can learn the world is bad. So it would be don't stop, this hurts. So every bit about experiences affects us. And that's where I grew into an agoraphobic, because the world was a scary, unsafe place, and I wanted to avoid pain. So I retreated inward, and I became stuck because I would try to get out of it and I couldn't do it. I wanted it, but I was having a conflict with myself. And the last fact here, we are designed to hide those inner rules from our conscious awareness. So there are so many things that we process at any given moment. There's no possible way for us to consciously be able to take in all that we are subconsciously taking in. It's kind of like a defense mechanism too. It's also a safety precaution because our minds just can only process so much at any given point. But subconsciously, we can process so much. So now those hidden inner rules that we aren't consciously aware of do create a conflict between our desires to grow and explore and our desire for safety. So just for instance, in relationships, if you've had really bad relationships or you were brought up in an environment where you saw bad relationships being modeled, maybe there was an alcoholic, abusive parent with a very submissive or very emotionally damaged parent, and you just saw the conflict. So your inner rule is going, this is bad, relationships are bad, stop, this is bad, go away, this hurts. So you can grow up really desiring to have true love, and yet you may start self-sabotaging or being in conjunction with these things that go along with your inner rules that tell you love is pain, relationships are pain, don't trust people, so on and so forth. And yet your desire, your conscious mind goes, well, no, I know that's not true. And I know I really do want this relationship to work out, or so, what have you. But that's where we begin to actually be at war with ourselves. And that can be where self-sabotage comes in. It's not actually a bad thing in itself. It's meant to protect us. So what we have to do is have a conversation with ourselves and get it on the same page. So now there's another aspect to it as well, where negative thoughts hamper our ability to pursue our dreams. So negative thoughts can literally mean, death spoken over you. And I think I was actually in a better place because I had such an extreme version. I knew the narcissist, personality people in my life were literally speaking those negative thoughts and words over me. So that became my thoughts. Long after I had cut them out, it was still there and I couldn't get rid of it. And every time I would try to go forward, their voices would come back and block me. And I was actually in a better place because I realized that. But we all have these things that we pick up. So maybe from a young age, maybe the parents coddled or, wasn't helping to help be independent, but kind of made dependent. So you can learn, well, I can't do it on my own. I don't do it good enough, so I'll just give it to others. Why try? It can be, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough for this or that. Maybe a coach was too harsh and said some things, a teacher, why your classmate, your best friend can do this, why can't you? All sorts of things that we just pick up, and those are subtleties as well. They don't have to be blaringly obvious, but they do become our inner roles. They do become the foundational parts of who we are, our identity. And the key is addressing those and, pruning away, kind of like exfoliating all of that out from outside of ourselves to make sure it aligns with who we actually are and where we actually want to go. So for an example, most people would say that they are terrified of public speaking. They would never do this. They might not even do what I'm doing, which is just, I don't even have a live audience in front of me. All I see is my face and the screen that I put together. So there's really no anxiety, even though I know people are watching this. So people couldn't even do that. That would be one of their biggest fears. Where does that even come from? Fear of failure, fear of getting mocked, made fun of, your reputation, and where did that come from? So it's all these inner rules that go along, or maybe it's just feeling you're not worthy enough to be in front of an audience. There are so many different things that get built up over time that we just do not realize consciously. So we're going to get into how this all relates. What is aroma freedom? It actually helps us get from where we are to where we desire to be. It helps us to identify and remove those blocks that have prevented us from becoming our absolute best selves and achieving our heart's desire. It helps us to understand how we might be self-sabotaging, whether we realize it or not. Blocks are the result of limiting beliefs, attitudes, and memories. They can be transformed. I'm proof of that. That's why I shared my story. I want you to know this is real. This isn't just, marketing or something. It does help us to identify those objections that tell us why we cannot do or have something that we desire. The inner objections are there for a reason, like I mentioned before. They are there to protect us. But there's a point where we have to release those things that are no longer serving us. And that's what the Aroma Freedom Technique helps to do. So in short, just a quick summary, the Aroma Freedom Technique is a simple tool for helping us identify, release, and transform the limiting beliefs and unresolved emotions that are interfering with our current life goals and intentions. The Aroma Freedom Technique is easy and gentle, and most people do feel energized and confident afterwards. Now, some people who go through an extreme emotional release through it, which can happen, doesn't happen all the time, but some people can feel very drained and fatigued, the opposite. So it is like having a physical detox, but through emotions. So you're going to want to drink plenty of water, get plenty of rest, take extra good care of yourself, just as if you were having a physical detox or like a fast. You're just becoming emotionally vulnerable at that point, but that's part of the healing process. So it is something you can use on yourself or others. And it allows you to take control of your emotions through the book and through the recorded AFT that you can walk yourself through. You can learn how to do this for yourself and others. The difference between a one-on-one versus doing it yourself is that, I and other practitioners are trained to look at different things objectively and see little things that may pop out. You may not realize your own limiting mindsets or beliefs that are still stuck in there, and your own blocks can make it less effective, whereas being walked through with a practitioner can help you, clear off those things and make it a lot more effective. So that's the difference. I do both. Even as a practitioner, I still have a different practitioner come in and give me one-on-one coaching sessions as well. So if that helps you, but for my day-to-day, I walk through it myself. So very clearly, I want to make sure that this is non-medical. There is no diagnosis involved. I only mentioned my former diagnoses just to show you the power of it, but in no way is this anything medical. And we only use currently Young Living essential oils because they have been proven to be the purest and most effective oils. This is what Dr. Perkus has used. And every single time we know exactly where the oils are coming from, exactly the components that are in there to be safe for the brain and to help the limbic system do what it needs to do to have the results. Very, very important. Not all essential oils are created equally. That's a whole different thing in itself. It's also about the frequency and vibration level, which is also more into the science aspect. It's all about healing. It has nothing to do with marketing or companies or anything like that, but there is a difference. And that's why for now, only Young Living essential oils meet that criteria. So the Aroma Freedom Technique is absolutely proven effective, and it has been adopted by thousands of people all over the world from all walks of life, all different ages, can be used on children up to people who have lived with these intervals their whole entire lives. And There is the book, The Aroma Freedom Technique, available that you can learn even more about the science, the steps. You can have it on hand to teach yourself and share with others. And I will share a link to where you can get more of those resources. So how does it actually work? Another thing to note, very important, is that it is not a substitute for psychotherapy. It's not in the same genre. It's not the same process. And it won't solve all of life's problems, but it does help get our emotional energy flowing in a positive direction. It helps us go towards growth and expansion rather than contracting in fear, doubt, and paralysis. It helps to identify the emotion felt in response to the negative inner voice. So this is a lot of inner self-healing work, but it's a very simple process. So now let's go a little bit into the emotion-body connection. Every emotion has a physical expression. Yes, it's amazing. So this helps to identify where those negative feelings are showing up in our bodies. That's one of the steps. And the feeling might show a specific posture, position, or even a subtle clenching of the jaw, eyebrow twitch. You can start itching all over, but those emotions do crop up somewhere. And it is possible to feel several things at once in several places at once, like even a tingling or rushing or an energy all over. You can feel your heart palpitating. And it's really fascinating to start taking that inner work and getting connected to our bodies, starting to listen to what our bodies have been trying to tell us all along. So next is the memory complex. So the memory complex is something we all have, and it's a combination of the negative voice, the emotion, and how we feel that emotion show up in the body. Memory that comes up when we allow ourselves to surrender and experience them is also part of that. That is the whole memory complex. And in dissolving the memory complex, with the intentional use of essential oils during the Aroma Freedom Technique process is what makes it so powerful. That's like, in a nutshell, the whole sciencey part of what's going on when you do this technique. So by dissolving the negative thoughts with essential oils, it's basically a whole pattern. That's where the memory complex is. So you can see that there is the thoughts connected to the feelings, connected to the sensation, connected to the memories, which goes back to the thoughts. It just continues that pattern. So the key is dissolving it or shifting it so it doesn't have such a heavy negative charge on us. So it works because the response to smell is powerful and automatic. There is a huge connection to smell and the brain. The olfactory nerve, which actually resides right back in there through the nose, is the nerve that connects directly to the limbic system of the brain. So you can see a little picture of that. So this is actually where the primitive approach, avoidance, or safe or unsafe feelings are created. That's the protective part. That's where we process everything that happens to us and make subconscious judgments as to whether it's safe or not. Our body creates those rules that get filed, and they do get filed in our bodies. Scent can actually access those files that are connected to the memory situation. So I like to think of it like scent is almost like that librarian when you go into that filing cabinet, which it's kind of old school and outdated right now, but when you had those index cards, the filing cabinet with all the references in there, that librarian goes in there, and that's what that scent is. It pulls up the references and cross-references and puts it all together. So that's what happens during this Aroma Freedom Technique. Everything connected that we don't realize is connected starts coming up into one thing. So that lovely little amygdala that lives in our brain and can do so much good or can affect us in negative ways. The amygdala is what triggers the fight, flight, or freeze survival response. And this actually happens with every single experience we go through. This is the subconscious level of our processing. So when someone touches us, when we meet someone new, when we go into a new room or a new situation, everything, even if food, it goes through this response. Is it safe? Is it good for us? Do we need to be protected from it? And smell is actually that immediate trigger that can affect it. So the benefit of integrating essential oils through inhalation is that they work automatically and rapidly, going to the brain within 3 seconds, because that's the direct route to the limbic system. And it works below the level of conscious thought. So just smelling it doesn't require any conscious thought for what's actually going on there, the retrieval and everything like that. And it does travel directly to the emotional center of the brain, the limbic system, where the amygdala is. It begins to calm the amygdala. The essential oils calm that trigger, calm the amygdala. So, like when you pet a cat or pet an animal and they just get smoothed down, they get really calm and they get very complacent and chilled out. That's what the essential oils can do for our amygdala. So when we are in a time of high stress, high anxiety, and we're, on alert, we actually can use those oils to calm us down. So the amygdala is the body's natural response, again, for the fight, flight, or freeze action. I repeat that because that is huge to remember. I know so many people who go through panic attacks, anxiety, and have these very strong responses. And that word triggered that we have now, that's actually a legitimate thing. And now, hopefully, you can make that correlation and understand why. So it also helps to unlock our earliest and most emotionally charged memories. That is huge. Just think of that smell of chocolate chip cookies or laundry detergent, or that unique smell that like your grandmother had. What does that bring to you when you smell that again? And it can be good or bad, but it's all connected to those memories. So let's say, that smell, if you get into a car wreck and that airbag coming out, that smell, that can trigger me and I can start having those heart palpitations because of that smell that triggers that, traumatic memory for me. So there's all sorts of different things, and I would encourage you to play around with that as well. So why essential oils? You've already learned a bit about it, but we're going to go a little bit on a different vein. So they are distilled from plants, meaning they're all natural. So much good stuff in them. They have complex and balancing aromas. They're a whole thing, very important, because the way our bodies are used to adjusting things are in their whole state. They are very safe for the brain. These ones in particular, that's why we only recommend these right now. They have amazing therapeutic benefits that are tried, tested, and proven. And they do signal, because they are pure, because they are proper and have all the right components in there, they do signal molecules for a bodily response. So by using these specific essential oils, it's triggering the body to do what it needs to do, which is to help dissolve that memory complex and calm the amygdala. So going a little bit further into why Young Living essential oils, there's the purity factor, seed to seal, which means from the very beginning of the process to the very end, when it gets into the customer's hands, that whole thing is monitored by Young Living. So there's no room for adulteration. They have such supreme quality standard controls. So you're not getting anything contaminated. So important when you're dealing with your limbic system and the hormonal spot of your body to not have any junk going into it. So they are inspired blends and have consistent results. Emotional balance has always been a cornerstone of D. Gary Young's teachings. He was the one who created Young Living. He was also a naturopath doctor. This is his thing, his passion, and he actually studied this, very scientific based. And he has created many he was a very intuitive healer. He has so many inspired blends to assist members with this. And many of those blends have the purpose of actually dissolving negative memories, thoughts, and attitudes, and creating a positive outlook so that people can move toward their goals and dreams. So this makes it such a beautiful partnership with the Aroma Freedom Technique, and is why Dr. Perkus married these together. So next, we're going to go very briefly into the different branches of Aroma Freedom Technique. So within Aroma Freedom Technique, there is the circle. And so far, Dr. Perkus is adding new ones every now and then. But so far, there's 6 main components. And you can see the scale of past to present to future. And it's absolutely wonderful because it can deal with so much. So first off, starting in the past, is the memory resolution technique, or TMRT for short. So if you're feeling haunted by the past memories keep coming up, this would be like where PTSD comes in. There's a heavy emotional charge to it, flashbacks, nightmares, painful or upsetting memories. It can clear out very quickly. It does not erase the memory. What it does is clear the negative charge to it. So, let's say if you had one embarrassing moment, it could go in there through this process and take away that level of embarrassment, maybe tears, maybe humiliation, anger, etc. Take it from a 10 where it's very, very traumatic, and it helps soothe it down. And because the conscious is mirroring with the subconscious, they're coming together in a partnership and going, okay, well, that's really not that bad. It's okay. Haha. It changes the whole charge to it, the emotional response, and how it affects the body. So it basically replaces it with something more positive and more neutral, or even just very good. Next is Aroma Clear. That's for those who are triggered by something. They have an emotional response that is out of proportion to the reality of the problem. For instance, crying over spilt milk, or an angry outburst at a social media comment. When there's something that triggers you and you just go flying off and start ranting, and you cannot function or process anything beyond that. That's where Aroma Clear would be amazing, very helpful. Next is Aroma Reset, one of my favorites. You can do it in a minute once you get the hang of it. So that is when you're feeling overwhelmed, stressed, frustrated, and you only take 1 minute to clear out those feelings of overwhelm so you can go about your day. So like if you're about to study for a test, or have a lot of things on your plate, you would take 1 minute, 2 minutes out, however long you need, and just do this quick reset, and there you go. You can do it as often as you need it throughout the day. You don't overdose on a reset or the Aroma Freedom Technique, period. It's also a great intro for sharing the effectiveness of essential oils or this technique. If people are skeptical, do this and they'll experience it themselves and know. And it is so easy to share with others. So at least it's one tool that you can share. Next is the Aroma Boost, which goes a little bit into the future. We're looking just a little bit ahead. So this is really good for helping with procrastination. And I use this to get through my exams. So good. So when you need to do something, but you delay or just aren't doing it, and you don't realize why you do feel kind of stuck, it can be that procrastination that you need to address head on, or there's something holding you back from moving forward. It takes about 15 minutes once you get there, once you get, in the routine of it. And it does literally help to crush procrastination. It's amazing and leaves you feeling very positive, very excited, helps you to start envisioning the future and what that outcome is when you complete what you need to do that you're procrastinating from. It can lead to wanting to rush to get that thing done. So there is a little disclaimer. You need to make sure you're not doing this right before bed, because you're going to want to get up and just complete this sucker. And it's also so good for just motivation in general. So this is where the Aroma Boost would come in. Next is the Aroma Freedom Technique. This was the original. And what most people know, this is what the whole, the whole general component of this is in itself. So it is basically when people are feeling stuck and they need to go forward, they need to create something in the future to change that trajectory, but it just isn't happening on their own. So it's a 12-step process. We joke that it's like the 12-step program, but it's a 12-step process for setting goals and achieving them. Helps to discover what limiting mindset, belief, or inner rule is keeping you stuck. You don't know why you're not progressing. And again, this is the main technique taught, and there are many different ways you can formulate this to kind of hone in on a specific group or topic. So it's very commonly used for business coaching, to help motivate a business group and get better performance, for health, getting and establishing healthy lifestyles, for relationships. It's great for couples and marriage. It can be used on children, again, the veterans, dealing with different forms of PTSD and all sorts of things when people really need that extra component of specialized care and concentration. So the last one that is not actually in the picture, because it is so new, and Dr. Perkus just created that throughout this current state of affairs in 2020, is the doomsday technique. That's the current working title for it. And it's about the future, the what if, when people are worried and gripped in that fear and concern and just cannot move forward. So fear of the future, fear of health, fear of world events, the state of the world, and just a feeling of unease. The feeling that potential bad things could happen. When people are gripped with that, it's when people think of the what ifs and the worst case scenario. And what it actually does is, in a safe, comforting way, easy technique, it goes through that process of what if and the worst case scenario, and then helps clear it out. So it takes that high emotional charge down to a neutral charge. Absolutely wonderful. So I can't emphasize that one enough for these times as well. There is so much of a possibility. So just going to walk you through a quick reset. You don't have to do this right now if you don't want to, because I'm going to make it very quick. But you just, for a reset, you grab your lavender, frankincense, stress away, or any calming oil or oil blend, whatever your favorite is that you're drawn to. It can be a citrus oil. Those are very uplifting. So then you just think of a current situation that feels overwhelming, frustrating, or confusing, only one at a time. It only works with one at a time. So then you find one word that describes how you feel when you picture the situation. So sad, lonely, fearful, shame, guilt, overwhelmed. That's a good one. Then you notice where you feel that emotion in your body. And you're going to know if you nailed in on the right emotion because you'll feel it in your body. So it can be the head. You can start getting a headache or a little pain or a twitch. Like I said, you can itch all over. You can feel your posture slumping. It can be a clenched jaw, heart palpitating. But just start listening to yourself and you're going to feel it. Now, identify the negative thought connected to those feelings, which is what we talked about. This is, I don't have enough time, I'm not good enough, or even like a flippant, yeah, right. You'll know it. And then you're going to grab those oils, lavender, frankincense, and stress away, 1 drop of each, or whatever other oil. If you don't have those, put it onto your palm, rub it together. And you're going to keep it there and just continue inhaling throughout the whole process with your eyes closed, deeply focusing on the situation, the feeling, the bodily sensation, and the negative thought. Noticing what happens to the picture of the sensation, how you feel it in your body and mind. And that's it. That's the main step to the Aroma Freedom Technique, the Aroma Boost, and that is the reset. So you get a glimpse of that 12-step process in just those few short steps of what the Aroma Freedom Technique is. So what next? Well, you can try it for so many different things, for your career, relationships, wellness, spirituality, recreation, if you want to have more fun, more family time, or even if you don't enjoy your family time right now, you can use an Aroma Freedom technique for that. The possibilities are truly endless. So you can practice that aroma reset as often as needed, and you can watch the full Aroma Freedom Technique session and follow along. So if you do want to schedule a one-on-one session to go deeper into it, if you feel like it's not something that you could just do on your own, there is a percentage of people that do, like myself, need someone else kind of helping them walk through it, especially if there's a lot going on or you're not used to just taking time out and listening to yourself. That can be a challenge. So if you want to schedule a one-on-one session with me, email me at thevinewellnessllc@gmail.com with the subject AFT, and I'll be happy to do a free consultation with you and see if it's a right fit and what would be the best steps to take to move forward. So I am also available to do group sessions that are tailored to needs, so such as detox, crushing cravings, like the doomsday technique, going through the state of things right now. And I do also offer special bundle coaching and discounts. I try very hard to work with people's budgets and try to get as much, in there to help as possible. So there are the possibilities. You can learn this more for yourself. You can get an actual booklet. That's the Aroma Reset Technique. You can get the book for the Aroma Freedom Technique that gives the layout, the science, how it was created, as well as the actual step-by-steps. Or you can go to become a certified AFT practitioner as well. And I'll include the links so you can actually click on them yourself if you're interested. So I do just want to thank you for taking this time out of your schedule to learn more about this. That says so much about you. Most people will not do this. So right there, I thank you and applaud you for taking this time to do this for yourself. By doing that for yourself, you're going to help change the world around you. And that is just such a wonderful thing. So I hope you enjoyed this. And